We're good to go.
We're good to go.
We are go for lunch.
This is our second episode of the Movement Hub podcast. Have we agreed that that's what the name's going to be?
Movement Hub podcast. It's a working title. The drop set also in working title. We'll work with our lawyers to see if that is available. I think it should. Better to ask for permission.
Right.
Oh no, better to ask for forgiveness than for permission.
Right. So we're just going to take the name and
hope nobody says anything.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's what's gonna be.
So how was your weekend, man?
Weekend went great. If I could recall what happens on weekends. So I live my life one day at a time. So I don't know what happened the day before. It's a clean memory slate, day by day. But I will say, and I will like to highly recommend this location that we went to over the weekend. One of my coaches did a fundraising event for Parkinson's Revolution, and it was held in Chelsea Piers Fitness in Chelsea, in Manhattan, New York City. And have you ever been?
I've been to Chelsea Piers, but not inside the gym, apparently.
I will say it is one of the most fun places that I have been to. I think I'm like a kid in a candy store, and it's everything. If you are big into physical culture, sports, I think this is one of the best places that you could go to. So I highly recommend anyone that's like, moderately into fitness, really into it, to come check it out, take a day pass. And I really didn't have a program to follow. I just went and whatever was there, pretty much used every single equipment. It was a lot of fun. Played some volleyball, played some basketball.
A little bit of everything, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely I like to do a video on the things that they have in store. So I definitely like to make something up. I did record myself doing every single thing possible in that place. So
in terms of like the inside of the gym, like doing different kind of exercises, or just the facility itself?
Both. Like doing every single exercises. They're just different. There's mainly 3 areas where you could do fitness in this facility, and it's separated quite well. I don't think it should be too crowded. I think the real test of seeing how a gym operates and how the flow of it goes would be on a Monday night at 6 p.m. If you could agree to that.
Yeah. It's probably the busiest day that you'll ever have.
Yeah.
And then everything starts to drop down as the week progresses, right?
Mm-hmm. Everyone likes to start off fresh and bench press for some reason. And
International Chest Day, baby.
International Chest Day is Monday, and it is a obligatory day to hit your chest and pecs and do some benching on that day.
What would you say is your favorite exercise on a Monday?
Funny you say that. I actually do like the bench. I like the bench press. I'm gonna get no world records at it. It's just one of these things I enjoy doing. It makes me feel good after. It's a nice pump. I feel great. And other people like to do it too. If you're able to get a bench during primetime hours, no better feeling. So,
would you agree with starting off your workout with your favorite exercise rather than the best exercise that's probably for that day? Like, let me give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say somebody really loves to do bicep curls, right? Do you think that it's best for them to just do their bicep curls as their first exercise over, let's say, bench press for the day?
I will say, if you already have a gym membership, you're already less than 1% of the population. So the fact that you're in the absolute minority, I would say yes, start off with the thing that you like, because it's the thing that gets you going. So what I attribute working out and in training in general, it's basically like trying to write an essay or write a book, and getting the first sentence is the hardest part. So you sort of need to just get going, do your bicep curls, do your little butt workouts if you're into leg booty making. Get whatever gets you moving, and then all of a sudden you get into a flow state of like, okay, now I'm going to do other things and I'm going to do the things that I should be doing. But start off with whatever gets you moving.
Right. Could you link that towards like behavior change when it comes to somebody who's wanting to progress their life when it comes to implementing a fitness lifestyle for themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think that the gym culture is very, what's the word I'm trying to use? It's very intimidating for the general public, for 99% of the population out there. I think we are in the minority that we sort of like had our education, we study, we research, see what works, go to workshops and seminars and certifications. The mass general public don't know what we know, and a lot of it is going to be paralysis by analysis. By trying to go into a place like let's say a Chelsea Piers, for example, and not knowing where to start. So I would say number one, the first step is to get into the door. There's people who do martial arts, jiu-jitsu, karate, judo, and they say the most important belt to get and the hardest belt to get is the white belt, because the white belt means that you have started and you've walked through the doors. And in the gym, it's the same thing. Get into the gym, walk through the doors, get moving, start off, and then in a day or two, come back and do it again. And over time, sort of figure it out along the way. Figure out, some things are more effective. Some things make me feel better. Some things keep me here, keep me motivated, and consistently keep me going.
So do you think that when somebody's already has a gym membership, right? They're coming into the gym, they already came in once for the week, and now second day, they have no idea what else to do. Do you think that simply having a gym membership and just showing up to the gym is actually enough for you to get started? Or do you think that a lot of people should probably come into this lifestyle, into this routine with a more detailed plan?
I believe that it's hard to come up with a detailed plan. And if they go into the internet and try to figure out where to go, you're even more bombarded with the information that's out there.
Agreed.
And you don't know where to start. So I would say try to ask for advice. Not necessarily, hey, you don't have to pay for personal training. Now, as a trainer myself,
you probably should.
It's not a bad idea. It's a worthy investment. But asking around for advice, you don't have to ask the most jacked dude. But I feel like a lot of people who are into the fitness space, I think for the most part, are quite friendly.
Yeah, agreed.
So I would say they're more helpful than not, right.
Do you think that most of the time when some random person in the gym, you never met them before, you probably seen them a couple times, and they came up to you, a person who looks, pretty jacked, knows how to work out, probably sees some exercises that you do, doesn't look anything crazy. Do you think majority of the times when that stranger comes up to you and asks you for help, that you're willing to help, or a lot of people would brush them off?
It's going to depend on the person. There are some people that are closed off. I think wearing headphones is a good indicator of like, I'm here to do my own thing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm a coach through and through, and a good coach would probably have that urge to sort of like, they see something wrong and they want to help out, and they see somebody who's sort of lost out there, deer in the headlights, not knowing what to do next, where to go next. I think like that's where a person like you or me would come in and be like, hey, I think like, hey, maybe try this out. Do you have any questions with anything? If I work here, if I don't, I'm probably focused on my own thing. But I do have a tendency to sort of like help other people out.
Yeah, I think majority of the time, to answer this question, I think majority of the times, if somebody who's completely lost has no idea what they're doing in the gym and they see somebody who does know what they're doing in the gym, I almost see that 9 times out of 10, somebody will always be willing to help that person because they would kind of put themselves in their own shoes or in that person's shoes. Like I used to be that person who didn't know how to squat, didn't know how to bench, didn't know how to do any kind of exercises. And I think there's some kind of feeling inside when you know more than the other person that's next to you and you just want to share some information. Now, maybe that information that will always be the right information, i.e. somebody teaching them how to squat and you just see craziness.
Correct.
But I think most of the times, a lot of people should not be scared to ask other people for help around. I had another situation in the gym where this old guy just came up to me. He's like, "Hey, dude, can you just record me?" I think 10 times out of 10, I would never say no, even though how crazy whatever I'm recording is, unless he keeps his clothes on. But majority of the times, I'm always willing to help. And again, that's just me because I'm coming from a frame of being a trainer, right? Always being open arms, helping people in the gym. So I think with this message, I want to give a little bit of light for people who are coming into the gym for the first time, wanting to work on their fitness, but have no idea of where to start. And there's a lot of people in the gym. I think the easiest way out of this is just simply ask for help from one of the trainers who are working at the gym, or knock yourself out on YouTube all day.
It's a deep rabbit hole, but if you can, get a machete and chop the trees out of the jungle, I think you can find some nice gems out there. It is oversaturated with information, and some names do stand out more than others. I would recommend people to start searching local, people with good reviews, a friend of a friend, somebody who, hey, somebody went through a journey and got some results out of it. Hey, what did you follow? I think that's good. If they're not injured, if they're healthy, they feel good about themselves, they have a routine, I'd be like, what do you do? I'm very curious to know. Seek the people that are out there. And I will say, I have some faith in humanity. I believe more people are good rather than not. So they're more willing to help.
So now that we're talking about how people can get themselves into the gym and work on their fitness lifestyle, there's obviously some of these challenges that they have to go through before even coming into the gym, right? We're talking about people who have never worked out in their lives before. And in terms of behavior change and the stages, I'm not familiar with all of them, but I know that there is a pre-contemplative stage, a contemplative stage, you have preparation, you have action, and then I believe you have a couple more. But we'll just talk about those first three. Where do you think a lot of people struggle with in those stages? Do you think it's the contemplative stage, or the preparation stage, or action stage? Where do you think majority of people fall short when it's time to go?
I don't think it's a prepared stage. I don't think a lot of people come in prepared knowing what they want to do. I think majority of people have, hey, I'm going to go through this exercise. Nobody has RPEs. People are not following Wendler 531. I think people have like set exercises and they're going to make it more intuitive. That's my analysis. I do think part of it is twofold. I do feel it's both 1A and 1B, contemplative and action. I think people overthink and they get overwhelmed. And when they come in, they don't know what to do first. I think majority of people, there's a reason why a lot of gyms invest in treadmills and they put the treadmills right on the front window, because it is the easiest barrier of entry to come in. I got a gym membership. I don't know what to do. I'm going to go on a treadmill. So either I drove or walked to the gym. I go inside to go walk on a thing that takes me nowhere. Next step, a lot of people would either go through machines. And machines are sort of idiot-proof, lack of a better term. They follow that and, they get a good pump out of it. But to answer your question, I do feel feel it might be more of the action.
Right.
If I were to put a 1A, I feel like when they go into the gym, it is an initial struggle to get there in the first place. Some people are with good intentions, want to do it first thing in the morning, snooze through their alarm. And then I was like, oh man, I think I'm late. I didn't wake up as I wanted to. You have your New Year's resolution people. And, or they do it later on in the day after a 9 to 5, they come back and then the energy is drained off of them. And then it turns into a maybe tomorrow.
And then it keeps going. Maybe
and it keeps going and it snowballs and it snowballs. And
sooner than you know, it's 2025.
Yeah.
And then it's maybe next year.
There's a reason why Planet Fitness model works. And it's a very successful model. Even though people in the fitness industry, we roll our eyes at it and we make fun of it. But it's like, hey, we're going to sign more people up than we can actually hold in. If everybody in Planet Fitness wanted to come in at the same time,
they're screwed.
It wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
It would not have worked. It would have been the Royal Rumble.
Do you think, do you know that if they still have the free pizzas on a certain day? Haley's nodding yes. So she said that they still offer it.
I have stepped foot.
Do they really still?
Yeah.
They offer it still? Wow.
Yes, I've personally seen it.
Wow.
My friend still goes to Planet Fitness because it's on her way to work and they still have it.
Wow.
I have stepped foot in Planet Fitness maybe twice in my life. And I felt like, look, I think Planet Fitness is fine. I think the creative juices in my head are flowing. I feel like I can make a solution on how to make a effective program just on Planet Fitness equipment alone.
Absolutely.
You know, I think like you could do a lot with a little.
I mean, you can also do a lot with just one kettlebell if you really wanted to push it.
You're preaching to the choir, you know. But I don't know enough people that do have a Planet Fitness membership. And I don't think that they are enticed by like, oh, we have pizza here. That makes me want to go to Planet Fitness. I think they go to Planet Fitness because it's like $15, $20 a month or even less. I don't know what it is right now as of this recording. But I think it's sort of like, hey, I have this with good intentions. I plan to make it a consistent routine. And then all of a sudden, it's just the human condition, the human psyche, energy levels. Things happen, life happens, and then it doesn't. But it's sort of like, hey, if it's $10 a month, it's not much of an investment. And I could sort of let it snowball into not me attending, but yeah, keep charging me $10. Right. It's not much. It's a cup of coffee in New York City. It's
kind of like the idea if you give somebody something for free, they don't value it as
Correct.
much as if you were to charge them for $20 for it, right? So, but yeah, to go back a little about the question that I had about what stage that you think people have the hardest time with, I agree with you. It's probably the taking action step. I think a lot of times, at least for me, when I first started as well, I did a lot of research. You know, you can YouTube this exercise. You can see how the execution, how it's coached, where to put pressure on your feet, where to put pressure on your hands, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to the point where you're actually in the gym and you have to perform it, that's when the rubber meets the road. And I definitely think myself as a trainer, a lot of times it's, you know, getting somebody to mentally prepare themselves to go in the gym is one thing. And the other thing is to actually have people to do the exercise that you want them to do. So I personally think as well that the taking action phase is probably the hardest, at least for what I've seen. And, you know, if there's one piece of advice that I could give to anybody who is going on this journey is just lift the weight. Just do, even if it's light enough. Hopefully it's not heavy enough. If you're struggling by after 3 to 4 reps, probably not a very safe weight for you to use. But yeah, definitely we should definitely go into the gym, do something, get the ball rolling, you know, get the fluid, get the juices in your mind rolling, and then come back for another day. Which, you know, I think a lot of people just need to do. Less thinking, more doing.
Correct. I think action is better than inaction. I think like over time, you sort of have to, if you treat this as a job, you're sort of learning on the job. So you keep going and take whatever information that you get through a little bit of research and a little bit of asking around. And I think you can puzzle the pieces as time goes by and you see a little progress, you see like change in the mirror. And then, yeah, I think consistency is just the way to go.
Talking about change, what are your thoughts on gamifying different goals when it comes to the gym? Let's just talk about weight loss. What are your thoughts about gamifying the weight loss game?
I'm not against it. You asked personal trainer Josh in his 20s starting out, a little smug, I think I know more. This is the way to do and start things. It should be intrinsic. You really shouldn't invest in like Fitbits or to see how many steps you're doing. I think like the older I get, I think going back on our first topic, the goal is to find a consistent plan, have a routine to come in day by day. And if it's the 10,000 steps to get you there, I think that's a great method. Gotcha. If it's, hey, let me try to get more sleep in so I have better metrics for my health on my Apple Watch, I think that's much better than getting trashed on a Friday night in Hoboken.
Right. Why Hoboken? Why not?
Because that's no comment. I will.
Be careful with your words.
Well, you know what? I'll say it right now. It's the place to make bad decisions. Okay, I said it. You're all right.
Like Lower East Side in Manhattan.
I'm not a Manhattan person. So I'm a Jersey kid through and through. So my Sodom and Gomorrah is Hoboken, New Jersey.
Got it. And since we're already on the topic of being in the right neighborhood and influences that are around you, how much do you think that influences and the environment that you put yourself in can influence how much success you can have in the gym?
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, so since we're talking about environment and like places around that can influence your behavior,
sure.
How much do you think? What would you put the value on the environment and the people that you surround yourself with when you're trying to make all these fitness moves for your own life?
I do believe it is a big factor. I do believe that it's a saying that I've been hearing in many podcasts over the years. It's like you are the average of the 10 people you hang out with the most, which is the truest thing. You are influenced by your immediate surrounding, the company you keep, the friends you hang out with, the people you decide to surround yourself with, the places you go after. I feel like if you go to a place like, I don't know, Vegas, Miami, a lot of these party towns, I feel like you would be more enticed to live that lifestyle of just going out, seeing the sights and whatnot. Not to say that, hey, if you are a person who lives like in New York City, for example, we live in a health conscious society, even as unhealthy as the statistics may be in America. There are people who are very health conscious, people that are into vegan, gluten-free, all the buzzwords when it comes to like diet and health and all that. You could definitely surround yourself with a group of people that like want to focus on paleo. They have a keto support group, whatever the case may be. I feel like that factor matters. Now, if you factor with some people who like to get trashed on a Friday night in Hoboken, I think like it'll sway the other way. I think the pendulum will swing into debauchery. And godlessness.
Getting hammered.
Yeah.
Drinking like there's no tomorrow. And since we're talking about environment, are you aware about the website dietbet.com?
Now, this is, I will say that I am not. Now, when you brought this up in our meetings and in preparing for the show, I have not known about anything about this website. So if you could enlighten me on that.
Yeah, so basically I've heard about dietbet.com on some podcasts where there's a website where you can sign on. You have to pay for membership and you place a bet. You place a bet on whatever competition's going on. Usually it's a bet on either weight loss or some kind of behavior change. I haven't really looked into it that deep into behavior change or fitness lifestyle, but most of it is diet where you're trying to lose weight. Now you get put into whatever competition you are competing in. Let's say there's 10 people. Let's say 5 of them complete however much weight that they want to lose or body fat, one of the markers, and the other 5 don't. So what happens is that the 5 get their money back and the other 5, whatever money that they paid in order to join the competition, that gets split into whatever calculations they have, and it gets distributed with the 5 winners. So now we're talking about environment. We're talking a little bit about competition. Sure, you probably won't be face to face with these people, but you have like a little bit of a hub, a little competition with people that you may or may not know. Now, how well? I looked online and it says that 96% of people who join dietbet.com loses weight. Sus.
I will question those statistics.
But in defense of this website, and I'm not defending them, but in this statistic is if you're losing 1 pound on these competitions, you're losing.
I guess you qualify. Yeah,
part of the 96%.
Sure. Okay.
But based on that number, I'm sure it's pretty inflated. What are your thoughts on this whole website, this competition, the reward system? What do you think about it?
I feel like it fringes on the line of toxic and healthy. And I feel I'm not against it, to be honest. I think whatever gets you through the door into the realm of fitness and wellness, I'm all for. If it gets you there and a little monetary push is very rewarding to the mind. I understand. I know many gamblers. I mean, I feel like you're looking at one as well. I feel like people have their vices, and again, it goes to the gamifying thing where I see this as a challenge. And it's sort of people that walk through Atlantic City and they hear the dung, 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 when they walk in. There's that dopamine response in their head. That like, oh, that's a sign of winning. That's a sign of a reward. And human beings are a reward-driven species, much like most warm-blooded animals. So I believe that it's very new, this concept, but I feel like we are barking on something that is sort of proven to work in a weird way. I think betting and gambling is a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. And the commercials that I see on YouTube, on TV, they're very much like, hey, these are BetMGM, these are sportsbook apps that you can use and gamble. And I guess I surround myself with a bunch of delinquents, but a lot of people have that app.
Right.
And they like to bet on football games that they haven't watched a football game all season, but they are addicted to winning. So if you turn that into the health aspect or workout wise aspect, I think it is putting you in a place of positive change. And I will always be on the side of positive change instead of self-destruction.
Right. Yeah, I think the same way as you do it. I think it's a step in the right direction. I'm contemplating whether or not the long-term effects of placing a bet on your own wellness actually can drive long-term success. For example, let's just say we both went on this dietbet.com. I think it would really matter of how much money we actually put on the bet. If you and I are trying to lose 10% body fat for $20, you can have my $20. Like, I'm not trying to put myself through that kind of process. But, I think it goes to like what we talked about earlier. It's if you get something for free, or if something is not valued as high as other people want to value it, then you probably won't put a lot of seriousness into it. But I also wonder if, let's say you do lose your 30 pounds, right? Does this mean that you're going to constantly be putting bets on your weight loss and keeping that 30 pounds off? What happens when you fail?
Exactly.
What happens when you can't keep the weight off? What happens when you lose all your money? So I question whether or not this is a long-term effective way of sustaining your health. But I also believe that this is the first right step in the direction that would probably lead you to success.
I believe the jury is still out there. The fact that I was not made aware of this, and as of this recording, maybe a year from now, they're like, oh, it's the biggest thing ever. Like Manny called it here first, but I kind of, it's sort of like the thought of winning is sort of making me salivate in my mind. Now it makes me want to like sign up for this. Now I'm probably gonna go on it right now, and as of today, February 26th, I might want to get on this. I'm gonna place bets. I'm gonna work on me, and I'm gonna guinea pig this myself, and I'll see how this works. I would love to, try it out, be an experiment.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think I probably would never try it out, but I like the idea of giving avenues for people who, like to gamify, like the gambling experience that you can also, put together in somebody's fitness lifestyle. If it works, it works.
I believe that there's a certain crowd and maybe clients of either yours or mine's that, hey, it's hard to get them into the gym or get them into like good hobbies. And maybe, just maybe, this might be a thing that gets them to their goals. Who's to say, and who knows? I'll try it out myself. I'll see if it works, and I'll give a detailed review, and then we'll see. Like, hey, maybe there's a certain client that responds well to this.
Right.
I know I have a lot of clients. I have a lot of gym members that are very much like gambling addicts. And as a good coach, you got to utilize whatever gets them to their goals by any means necessary.
Aside from the gambling, what is another tactic that you think that people can use on themselves in order to get them to do what they know that it's hard for them to do?
I mean, I'm very much an intrinsic person when it comes to like, I don't like to use the word motivation. I think I treat fitness and my own routine as sort of part of my daily hygiene. I think my movement should be a daily thing. I believe chasing strength should be a daily and weekly thing. But not everybody thinks like I do.
Right.
And I've grown to accept that. Took some time for me to come to that realization. So I have to figure out what worked for some people because they might not have that intrinsic motivation. So the things that have worked are setting up races. I think
so competition.
I'm a big sports guy. I played sports at a young age. I've been in tournaments. I've traveled to compete in different sports. I like the process of preparing and then meeting on the day of, and let's putting that effort and practice to actual, physical use.
Right.
I think I would like to see what my body is capable of. That's where powerlifting comes into play. That's where the High Rocks coming up in June 1st in New York City comes into place. People that play sports at a young age is something I highly recommend that people develop. I think there's a lot of life lessons to that. There's the possibility of losing. And I think dealing with adversity and failure is important.
Right.
So that would be the main thing. I feel like my training is very, it's very sad to watch. And it's discouraging for me to go through if I don't have an end goal. I need to see a mountain to climb. And I understand that is what I like to chase. And for some other people, it's a different mountain. Different mountain of, I got a wedding coming up in 6 months. Can you get me there, Josh? Sure. Absolutely. And I'll put that date out there and I'll put like, hey, where are we going? Where's the honeymoon going to be at? You know, I got a big vacation. I got a big high school reunion, and everybody wants to look better than the people they graduated with. Nobody wants to look like a bum. So I'm going to look my best. I'm going to be sober for like 30 days, and everybody's going to regret that they bullied me. I feel like I'm projecting a lot.
Yeah, I mean, these are personal experiences or something. I don't know. But I think for me, to answer that question, I think for me, it's a lot about imaging and future proofing. So what I mean by imaging and future proofing would be, I always try to paint a picture inside of a client's head of what kind of life they would want in the future. So let's just give an example of somebody who is about to be a new father or has the third one on the way. And they've been experiencing different pains in their lower back because of the repetitive movements that they have to put their car in a car seat in the car to put their kid in, and they just keep pulling their back. Mm-hmm. So I always try to chime in and put a little bit of a picture, an image in their head of what would it look like if you did not have this pain. If you were able to do anything and everything that 3 of your children would want to do when you get older. And I think with a lot of those pain points of just making people realize that where they are at the moment and where they might want to be later, obviously that's a personal choice. I think it's been very successful for myself because I think a lot of people, they do live in the moment. And I think a lot of people live in the past, but I also think that far too little people think about what is in the future. So as you said earlier, you're more of the present type of dude, right? Like I would assume you like to take care of the fires here when it comes about, out of sight, out of mind. If I don't have to take care of it yet, then so be it. I'm not speaking for you, but that's what I assume.
I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah. And I believe that you're looking out for future Manny.
100%.
You know, you're looking out for future Manny. And it's not that, hey, I'm not thinking about future Josh. I am current Josh who's upset at past Josh, but is trying to forgive past Josh.
Gotcha.
And that's going to make future Josh happier.
Yeah.
But you have this intrinsic position that you see yourself in.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure it's the best version.
I think for me, I am planning for future Manny, and I constantly forget about present Manny, and a lot of past Manny has influences on present Manny's idea of future Manny. Holy shit. That was like Inception going from past to forward. Yeah. But that's how I think. So I think majority of the times is if I can dive in deep with a client or with somebody who is wanting to, I think majority of the times when people go into the gym, it's because they're not happy with something, right? They want to improve something. So yes. I think for me, it's understanding people's past, living with their present, and preparing for their future.
Having conversation and being a gym owner and discussing with what they say, what they think the gym is going to be different than you and me. And a lot of times the things that they express is sort of, they express it in a way where the gym is sort of, it's like punishment for the choices that they made recently. And look, I'm trying to get people through the door to come in consistently, so I'm not going to say no. I think I'm what you call an enabler. So I will use their, that sounds so bad, but I will use their insecurities in order for them to achieve health and wellness.
And this is all for good intentions, right?
I'm thinking about the, the means justify the end.
Right.
I feel. And I'm willing to be the bad guy from it. Like, I try to do things in a healthy way and try to avoid a lot of toxic motivation, a lot of negative things that people use to bully in Instagram, social media. But I do things very subtly that you don't know that I'm doing that anyways.
Yeah.
So, but I am trying to, I'm trying to win.
Right.
Is what I'm doing. And if my client wins, if my members win, then we all win. And we don't have to know about how the sausage is made.
Just give me the sausage.
Right. You want that chorizo at the end, you know?
So to end off this episode, we can go on and on with talking about everything that we talked about today. But all in all, what do you think is the one winning method that you use in order to get success with your client?
You're just putting me in a tough spot because I don't believe there is one answer.
What is one of the answers?
I will say find what the emotional connection is from the person that can get to their goals. And what I mean by that is like find something that they keep bringing up as to their reason why they keep doing what they're doing, putting that in the back of your head and just pointing them out to them. Remember why we do this. And if you forgot, here it is. Yeah. You told me, and I know what it is. So utilizing their emotional connection to their end goal.
Powerful.
Yes.
Love that.
What would be yours?
Let me see. You're putting me in a tough spot now because I've only
surprise
wanted to
Pikachu
ask.
face.
Okay, I just only wanted to ask that question. But for me, I think my winning quote unquote tactic for getting somebody towards success is constantly providing a space for them to thrive. I think a lot of times, a lot of people can get beaten up for not doing their best in the gym. And I think a lot of times that I hear trainers of, either pushing somebody too hard or also not knowing when to hold them back a little. So I think for me, it's always learning on how to adjust at the particular situation at hand and being able to, tune it up, tune it down, and also just providing that space. I think I'm very well with that because, especially if you've been training somebody for years on end, you kind of know how they work. And I think a lot of people, they still want to show up to the gym, even though they're not feeling so great. They didn't have a good amount of sleep, but also don't want to leave like they got beaten on. So I think for me, my winning tactic is to constantly provide space for somebody to achieve success, whether or not that day that they're on it. So
got it.
Cool, man. That's episode number
We're on 3.
2, 3. We'll keep track later.
We'll
and
edit it for green screen.
There you go.
Yeah.
Coolio.
So yeah, that was great.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Peace out.
Deuces.